What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to kdjTV. Today it is a brand new series. Welcome to 10-Minute Mailbag. 10-Minute Mailbag will be an every Monday ordeal. This is my chance to answer your questions. You guys know that in the comments section, I do everything possible to either respond or interact, like, love, you know the drill. But sometimes oftentimes that is not the best space to really dive into your questions that are good questions, and you guys took the time to ask them. I should take the time to answer them. So in this place, 10-Minute Mailbag. I'm gonna do just that. The caveat here is that I have 10 minutes to answer as many questions as possible every week. So this is where I need you, the loyal subscriber and potentially unloyal subscriber who is yet to subscribe, please subscribe, do your part. In the comments to these videos, every single week, leave me questions you want me to answer. I have 150,000 stubs, what should I do? Should I use this pitcher or this pitcher? Who's the best center fielder in the game? How do I get gooder at pitching or hitting? Any of those questions are valuable, ask them, I will do my best to help you. So in this video, because it is the first one, I went back through the last 2 weeks of videos and found just a collection of questions that I am hopefully going to answer. We're going to get through as many as humanly possible. I've never done this before. I don't know how many I'm going to get through. I'm going to set the 10 minutes on my phone to make sure that I am staying by the rules that I have created for myself, and we'll just have a good time. So the most important thing here, guys, make sure you comment your questions. That'll help the series keep on going. All right, without further ado, let's get going. I've got the game up and ready on my screen to go access things. I, of course, already know what the questions are because I pre-screened them. But I'm going to start the timer. We're going to start the questions. And you're going to see them on the screen. And then we're going to go from there. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, start. Sean, thank you, Sean, for your comment. This was on one of my How to Pitch With videos every Thursday on YouTube, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. How does one pitch with the new Zach Gallen? At the time, it was new. It's a couple days old now. To be honest, I don't suck at pitching, but Lance Lynn, Zach Gallen, and Don Sutton struggle from the good on paper, bad on field narrative, at least for him. So, Sean, my advice for you, and I mean this sincerely. I don't mean this is not jokingly. I'm not trying to talk down to you. Don't use Zach Gallen. There are other free pitchers right now, in my opinion, who are light years better. Topps Now Chris Bassett, that just came out, is a light years better option than Zach Gallen. But if you would like to know how to do better with Zach Gallen, I will do my best to help you. We look at this card. Velo is not good. Control is not great. The problem with Zach Gallen, in my opinion, is that his cutter is not effective enough. You guys, if you've watched my How to Pitch With series enough, the cutter is the pitch, right? I try to use that pitch to my advantage to get weak contact, ground balls, swings and misses, etc. But you're kind of sitting on the cutter with Zach Gallen because he doesn't throw anything else. His fastball's not going to blow your doors off, so you don't have to worry about really sitting on that. His knuckle curve is one of the worst pitches in the game. So his knuckle curve, you're going to read right out of his hand. It's going to be easily hit. His slider is okay. It's not a game-breaking slider, and circle change is hover. Plus, 86 is a little faster for a circle change, at least based off other pitchers I use, so I don't think it's as deceptive as you'd like it to be. So overall, Zach Gallen, I don't think is worth your time, and I mean that respectfully. But if you're going to use him, try to operate against right-handed batters with that four-seamer cutter tunnel. That's going to be your best bet for success. Occasionally mix in that circle changeup in that same away quadrant. Just be very careful with it. The fastball, though, inside to righties, you got to be extra careful with because it's going to get turned on. To lefties, you're trying to stay away. Cutters away. Circle changes away. Occasionally going in on the fists with the cutter. That's really the only time I'd recommend going inside to the lefties because Zach Gallen is easily readable. You turn on him. And overall, I just don't think he's that effective. Chris Bassett is a lot better, like I said, just using him as one free example. There are team affinity guys, Jacob deGrom, Roy Halladay, Griff McGarry's kind of okay because he has outlier. Like, there are a lot of free guys you could use that I would prefer over Zach Gallen. We spent a lot of time on that. Go to the next question. Sean, thank you again. I appreciate you very much. We're staying with pitching. Sebi Smith. Sebi, shout out to Sebi. He has asked for a couple weeks in a row now, how can we get better pitching with Nestor Cortez? Or can I do a video on Nestor Cortez? Now, Sebi, the reason I have not done a video on Nestor Cortez is because I don't think he's good. And man, I wish he was because I also love Nestor Cortez just like you do. Nestor is kind of the left-handed version of Zach Gallen. Nothing blows you away. You know to sit on the cutter. His K per 9 is bad. He doesn't throw hard. Most importantly, I just think his delivery is really, really readable. When we talk about starting pitchers and why some of them are good, of course it's their stuff, but sometimes some of their windups are just harder to read. I think Roki Sasaki's a good example. Madison Bumgarner's a good example. There are tons of guys who just hide the ball better, or pitches look different out of their hands, or don't look different out of their hands, rather. I think that's the deceptive part. Nestor Cortez would be a lot better, A, if he had a sinker, which he doesn't, but B, if there was more difference between his 4-seam and 2-seam. His 2-seam, I'm kind of covering a little bit with my head, so I apologize, but his 2-seamer is 92 miles an hour, his 4-seamer is 93. The reason the 2-seamer on a pitcher like Jacob deGrom is so effective, because if you have somebody who's just horned up and sitting on the 4-seam fastball, you throw the 2-seam, it looks the same, dies a little bit out of the zone, and you get them out in front. Nestor's 2-seam being the same speed essentially as the 4-seam prevents that, and you can still time it up. Yes, the 2-seamer will move, but you can still time it correctly. If you're going to use Nestor, do what I said with Zach Gallen, just flip, because he's a left-handed pitcher. If you're facing lefties, we're going 4-seamers away, cutters away, sliders away. If you're facing righties, you're actually trying to jam them inside, because I think Nestor's cutter moves quite a bit, and you can maybe jam him in the fist. You got to be careful. Listen, Nestor is not great. Again, I totally wish he was, because I love Nestor Cortez. He is one of the most exciting pitchers to watch, which is so funny, because he doesn't blow you away. But he's so cool. I love Nestor Cortez. But Sebi, thank you for your questions. I'm sorry I don't have like a better way to actually do this for you. I'm not going to do a video on Nestor, because I will get rocked. But try that with Nestor and let me know if that helped. Next question. We're about halfway through, so I'm not going as fast as I wanted. Lou Edwards. Another great video, a couple comments. Thank you for loving my video, Lou. All SDS needs to do for franchise is find a way to partner with Out of the Park. That's another game, more simulation-based. If you have not heard of it, I do suggest you check it out. All the amazing depth that Out of the Park brings, combined with gameplay, I realize there might be some hiccups with animations, batting stances, but it can be done. Lou, I'm going to be honest with you. You make a very good point, but I don't think it's a good idea. And let me say why. I think innovation comes from competition. And even though Out of the Park is not a one-to-one competitor of MLB The Show, the fact that Out of the Park exists during the same season and cycle as MLB The Show and is about the same sport kind of makes it a competitor. And Out of the Park does something so niche and so different, it does franchise millions of times better than MLB The Show. We're agreeing on that. I think the fact that it is separate and does it better is actually better for the long-term outlook of MLB The Show. I think if SDS was smart, they would do their best to take cues from Out of the Park and try to replicate it in a way that fits the way their game works. Franchise this year has some improvements as far as scouting goes and things like that. It didn't fix franchise. It did add a layer of depth, and I think people appreciate that, but I also think diehard franchise players are being underserved, and they probably feel that way. I don't want to speak for you if you are a franchise player and don't feel underserved, but I can only imagine with all the updates that come across the rest of this game, franchise doesn't get nearly enough. There's my dog in the corner over there. She's sniffing around. The thing with Out of the Park and MLB The Show combining is that it then creates another instance of potential laziness for MLB The Show because there's nothing to compare to. I think the comparison part's important. I think you can add like new ways to simulate more interactively in MLB The Show based off Out of the Park. Player progression or player potential is different in Out of the Park than it is in MLB The Show. If they could just tweak, plus trade logic, don't even get me started on trade and acquisition logic, but if you can kind of integrate improved facets of those, I think you know what I'm trying to say. Keep Out of the Park separate. I love where your head's at, though, because I do think Out of the Park is a very good model. I would just prefer to see them separated. Lastly, oh god, we probably only have time for one more. 713. I put in roughly 170 hours into complete set 1 and the live series. This set system will easily make people more burnt out than before. I get the system is to make the game last longer, but how are you going to make it last longer when in order to keep up, you have to put in so much time? 713. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate your concern or your opinion, but I think you answered your own question, actually. I think people will stay invested in it because you do have to keep grinding. And because the seasons and sets reset, the grind is imperative. You have to do it to get the new cards in order to keep playing the game. This game got so stale so fast, meaning MLB The Show just in its totality. MLB The Show 22, 21, 20, go back in time. They get stale so fast because we've been using the cards forever. Listen, George Brett last year, Retro Finest George Brett, was one of my favorite MLB The Show cards ever, of all time. He dropped, and he was in my lineup the entire season. I'm not upset about it. I don't regret it. But now that I look back at it, I kind of like that MLB The Show 23 is going to give me a forced reset at some point. Yes, you can use your wild card. I can keep Chipper Jones around all year if I want. I can keep Mickey Mantle all year if I really want to. But I think this forces us to embrace different players, different card types. It gives SDS the opportunity to give us 99s of folks. We have a 99 G-Man Choi in this game. Can we talk about that? That would never have happened in SDS's old content model. And I respect the hell out of SDS for taking a big swing and doing something different. I think it ended up working. And I think a lot of people who are not fully embracing sets and seasons just yet have it stuck in their heads that 99s day one are bad. And I don't think that's true. I think sets and seasons, the way it's worked so far, has proven to work. Granted, we're only on set 2. There's plenty of time for them to fumble it. But I think they've scheduled content in a way that'll work. It looks like set 3 is going to be All-Star. Set 4 might be second half. Set 5 postseason. Set 6 finest. I think the cadence is perfect. I think it's going to work. We just all have to embrace that we're not going to be married to our favorite cards for the entire season. And I think that's okay. I actually think it's great. I think it keeps things alive, especially when we hit the dead period. And here we are with the time, the buzzer's going off. But listen, I'm already breaking my own rules. Sets and Seasons works because it's going to force us to continue grinding for things that are worthwhile. It's not going to be mindless. We're going to get good cards. I've broken all the rules. 713, thank you for your question. Sheesh. This is going to be hard for me to do every week. 10 minutes is not a lot of time to give the depth that I'd like to, but we're going to hold to it, and we're going to get better at it as the weeks go on. This is only our first one. I appreciate all of your guys' comments, even the ones I can't get to. I appreciate them. Like I said, for this to work moving forward, leave your questions here. I appreciate any and all comments that you guys give, but this is truly your place to actually ask questions you want answered, or opinions, or tips, whatever you guys need. Here's your time. I will do my best to give you my thoughts. Thank you guys for listening. I look forward to your mail every week. I love getting mail. Don't we all love getting mail, as long as it's not bills? Bills suck. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in next week's 10-Minute Mailbag.